Hey everyone, welcome. So this is In the Flow with David Mario, and I'm here with now a frequent guest now, right? With Taylor Backman from Zoho. How you doing, Taylor?
I'm doing good, Dave. It's good to see you.
Good to see you as well, man. So you are traveling today, right? You are all over the place.
Yeah, I'm in Toronto today and in my beautiful hotel room here. Hopefully, the Wi-Fi holds. It's been doing an okay job so far. So, yeah,
That's good. You look good. You look good.
thank you.
So today, Taylor, this is the big reveal show. This is a special edition of the show where we're going to have a big reveal. You have some news for us today. Is
Yeah,
that so?
yeah. Big news today from Zoho. We have a major update to Zoho One, which is our flagship
Yes.
product that we're really excited about. Zoho
Mhm.
One, it's a product that allows organizations to run their entire business on one platform. And if not the
Mhm.
entire business, then certainly large portions of it. It spans
Yeah.
many functional areas, as we've talked about many times now. I think sales, marketing,
Yeah.
finance, etc. Um, and today, yeah, we're really excited about the next step for the product.
Absolutely. And yeah, and so before we get into like all the features and stuff, let's start with I guess the big why, right? This isn't just some small patch, and I hate using this term because I know it's been beaten to death in tech, but it's a reimagining, if you will, right, of the platform. Can you sort of explain the big why for us?
Yeah, well, I mean, ultimately, the big thing that we are doing in this release is we're taking really big steps to unify Zoho One across a few different components. Its experience,
Mm-hmm.
integrations, and intelligence. Particularly around all the AI
Mm-hmm.
capabilities that we're seeing these days. And the reason for this is because
Yeah.
business software is extremely fragmented and it's very complicated, and that complexity creates a lot of expense and it creates a lot of headaches. So, the idea with
Yeah.
Zoho One bringing everything together and then unifying it across these important layers is a way to simplify it and to
Mm-hmm.
ultimately give customers peace of mind so they're spending more time on
Yeah.
the business and less time on the software.
Exactly. And so was that sort of the big human problem that you guys were trying to solve? Like, like let's do this and we need to do it now. That sort of thing. Right, yeah. I think you cut out for a second there. Okay. No, I was saying that was this sort of the big human problem that you guys are trying to solve that you needed to do it now?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the big human problem. I mean, software is everywhere in our businesses and it's everywhere in our
Mm-hmm.
lives. So we have to make sure that it's
Yeah.
something that is usable and something
Yeah.
that is not only usable but a pleasure to use. Something that stays out of the
Yeah.
way so we can focus on the important things.
Exactly. I think something we saw even in the press release that was revealed. This is it's about removing the boundaries between apps, right? We all live in sort of that app chaos, if you will. And it's fragmented technology, right? And so let's talk about I guess the new user experience, right? What's the new UI like? You've introduced spaces, and a new dashboard, like So what's that new user experience like now?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. The goal is to break down these different boundaries, these different application silos, these different data silos. So we've introduced this new concept called spaces, where we're organizing all of
Mm-hmm.
the tools that a business would need into discrete spaces. And the idea follows kind of
Mm-hmm.
just the way that space might be laid out in a home, for example, where you have
Yeah.
personal spaces like bedrooms and bathrooms. You have communal public spaces and within the home, like a living room, dining
Yeah.
room, where you meet with people. And then you have very functional spaces like kitchens or a garage or a laundry room where you
Mm-hmm.
do particular kinds of actions or keep particular things. So we're taking
Yeah.
that same idea and now introducing the idea of a personal space. So the place where you have all of your
Mm.
individual tools, like your email, your documents, passwords, calendar, your chats, all of that. You then have an
Yeah.
organizational space where you have your intranet with, feeds and different knowledge bases and, uh, additional files and things and resources that you need. And then you have these
Yeah.
functional spaces that are organized for different kinds of teams, like a sales space, a marketing space, a finance space. A sales space, for example,
Yeah.
might just have a CRM. A marketing space might have the various marketing tools that a marketing team needs. And all of these, of course, can be customized and provisioned according to what makes sense for the organization. You can create your own spaces for your own teams. So
Hmm.
it's really a big step in the way that we're trying to, bring all of these tools together to better align with the way that people
Yeah.
work and the different contexts that they are
Hmm.
working in and shifting between.
So it's very contextual, right? It's yeah, it's very workflow specific. It's very how people work, into the flow of how people work, and it's moving from the sort of that app based world, app to app, to sort of more platform based world that's more seamless and continuous. Just how we actually want to work, for the most part.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, context is king, and that's a big reason that we're doing Zoho One is that the context
Yeah.
of work is not easily contained when you just look at one application at a time. You have to think about how do these applications work together to deliver a
Hmm.
process or model a process that delivers an outcome. How does this improve the
Right.
customer experience? How does this help me close a deal faster? How does this help me, deal with, orders or invoices or expenses or whatever? How do I do all of these things more efficiently? So being able to
Yeah.
pull all the tools together, have a seamless experience, a unified experience, and then move between those different contexts is really important. And
Yeah.
this has been a big thing that a lot of people have been asking for from us for quite a while.
Yeah, yeah, and one of the things that I wanted to sort of bring up a little bit is he was talking about collaboration and seamless flow. I have to ask about Vanny, right? It looks like a new addition for collaboration, right? And it's sort of like like kind of end the boring static meeting sort of paradigm that we've been in.
Yeah, yeah, Vani, it's a great tool for really cool like whiteboarding and really cool kind of dynamic meetings, that like you talked about. So
Yeah,
we have launched that, and now that's being brought into Zoho One as well. And
yeah,
so within the spaces idea, how you basically can have some different kind of tabs in these different spaces, and this can be, for example, an application like say a CRM, but it
yeah,
could also be one of those, Vani boards, basically, right?
yeah,
Eventually, that we don't have that quite yet, but that's the next step, where you're then able
right.
to, you know, create these boards that you have in meetings, and then be able to reference them very easily, while then switching between other tools that you also may be using as well.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, the whole idea of switching between tools, one of the things that Zoho kind of does natively, and you've been doing this for a while now, is how you deal with integrations, third party integrations, obviously, even your own platform integrations, but you've been sort of championing the sort of, we want to play nicely with everyone, right? So no matter where you're starting from, we don't want to cause any friction within your business workflow. And I think one of the quotes from Raju, when he said that customers are not licensing apps, they're licensing a peace of mind. Right, and,
Yeah.
and and that's a huge promise, but I think a big part of that is sort of how you handle integration, that sort of seamless flow between apps, whether native or third party.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We support, integrations between Zoho apps, Zoho to third party, but then also third party to third party. So that's
Mm-hmm.
really, really important. There's different ways that we think about integrations, um,
Yeah,
which are ultimately there to deliver outcomes according to processes. There's also
yeah,
very foundational integrations that allow us to tie services together. So an example of that is what we're doing with the integration around our portals, for example. So within Zoho and, well, just applications generally, there's usually portal
mm-hmm.
features such as like in our books tool, Zoho Books, there is
Mm-hmm.
a portal where you can give your customers access to the portal to go in and pay a bill approve quotes, look at
Hmm.
invoices, all sorts of stuff like that. But those portals, that we've had across a number of tools haven't talked to each other. So you've always had to provision these
Hmm.
all separately. It's taken us a while, but
Yeah.
it's a really, because it was a big project. But now we have a unified portal concept where you're able to deploy one portal for all of your Zoho tools, but you can also add your custom apps and you can also add in third-party portals as well. So this is I think a great example of the flexibility that we're building. And as you mentioned, playing well with others is really important because we
Yeah.
don't claim to do everything better than everyone else. And certainly, there's
Right.
sometimes customers who say, "Hey, you're better than X vendor at this," and then someone else doesn't agree and thinks we're better at something else than some other vendor, right? So you never can say you're the definitive best. But what you can do is say, "I'll work well with as many tools as possible, to help ultimately
Yeah.
our customers get what they need."
Exactly, and that's sort of, as we're talking about the peace of mind. That's the part of how you're delivering on that sort of peace of mind mantra, right? Sort of taking away that friction. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the idea with Zoho One is we want to be this, foundation and in an organization, that's helping to run
Mhm.
an organization, which is not, which goes right along with our second idea, which is then let's be really friendly and easy to do business with. So that way, hopefully,
Yeah.
you can combine those two things and you have a strong long term technology partner. And having a good partner means you have a really flexible partner and someone who will, put the interests that you have above
Mhm.
short term interests of us, right? And so, if you wanna
Exactly.
work with third party vendors, we want to then help you do it.
Absolutely. And so we've gone, this far into this discussion, and we haven't even brought up the AI story, right? And one of the things I think is interesting in how you're sort of framing the AI story, especially in this update and releases, you're framing it around unified intelligence, right? And
Yeah.
so, obviously AI sort of did the big buzzword, of this year and the past couple years, right? But this claim about unified and contextual intelligence, what's the difference, in between what you're doing versus what others are maybe doing?
Yeah, it's a great question. So when we think about unified intelligence, we think about the fact that you need to have a lot of context, right, for what's
Mm-hmm.
going on with the data and what's going on within the organization. And to get
Yeah.
that context, you have to be able to support a broad range of capabilities and start breaking down the silos between that. That goes back to integration and it goes back to the unified experience. So these things are all interconnected. And when you're
Yeah.
able to do that, you then need deep AI capabilities, and you have to be able to deploy those while also controlling the underlying technology as well. So all of that can be optimized and so efficiencies can be created. And so all of the, you know, technology and capabilities basically are integrated themselves, right?
Yeah.
And it's a mix. It's by bringing those things together, plus
Yeah.
privacy, security,
Mm-hmm.
data access controls, the kinds of compliance requirements that are needed. You bring all of these things together to form unified intelligence. And
Yeah.
ultimately, we see a lot of vendors doing the cool AI capabilities. Some of them are working with partners, some of them are doing it themselves, but they're not
Yeah.
often, bringing the rest of this together. And you see a lot of vendors are kind of bolting on these AI capabilities. And what we're trying to do is grow it all in house with our very long term strategy that we've had with Zoho
Mm-hmm.
One. I mean, we're in 8 years now of Zoho One, and
Yeah.
over, I mean, what, about 20 to 25 years of Zoho. So
Yeah.
it's been this long process of trying to pull all this together to get this unified intelligence.
Yeah, and I think you guys maybe have a head start because I am, I've been covering this space in digital workplace, and my vision of the digital workplace or a digital workplace, platform or solution has always been, and I've told you this before, and the team, I've always referenced the Zoho one because I've never seen in the market, something that. So I'll back up. I look at the workplace, it's sort of, I have this sort of compass metaphor. It's sort of a long drawn out metaphor, but it's where I look at, if you look at a compass, right? And if an organization is trying to find their true north in the digital workplace, if the compass for me has north be sort of employee experience, right? East is customer experience, right? South is business operations, right? Where you have all the stuff that you need to keep the business running. Whether it's infrastructure stuff, right? ERP, all that stuff, right? And then
Yeah.
for me, West is sort of the continuous learning and adaptation direction, where that's where you have data analytics and AI and so forth. But to be an organization, you have to click on all those cylinders. You have to have all those directions and technologies bases in all those directions, sort of, on point. And that's how you begin to find your true north, wherever that is. And every organization has their own, sort of true north. And so to me, the only reference I've ever had of what that would look like, the closest, has been Zoho One, in terms of having all that stuff. And what you may not have, you integrate and bring in third parties as well too. And so as I look at that, right, how does, I guess, the new Zia hubs or Ag Zia sort of help in sort of that sort of contextual unified intelligence that makes what you have more than just some chat bot in a corner or something.
Right. Yeah. It's a great question. So how do we know we have more than
It was a
just
long
a chat
question,
bot?
but
Yeah, no. It's great. I appreciate it. It's I think that's a great question, right? It's. I mean, if I just distill it down to the last version or the last part of what you said, which was just, how do you
mm-hmm,
have more than just a chat bot in a corner?
mm-hmm,
Um, the question has to do with, well, if you have a chat bot, what is it connected to? What does
mm-hmm.
it understand? What can it help you with? Right?
Yeah,
So just let's take like the chatbot that we're bringing in within the next couple of months, Ask Zia. Ask Zia understands all of your business data because we have our business intelligence tool, we have
mm-hmm.
our directory that sits underneath that tool that understands all of the permission structures across all of the Zoho tools that you're using. So what that
Yeah,
means is as you're putting data into your applications, your CRM, your accounting tool, your help desk, whatever, all of that data can automatically be brought into the BI tool where there's automatically reports and dashboards that are already made for you that update in real time.
mm-hmm.
And now when you connect Zia into this process because of that access controls that we have at the directory level, you now ask it a question. What's my sales numbers looking like? So it goes and pulls that data for you. That's cool. What are my help tickets looking like, or what is my customer happiness looking like?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. But now, what about cross-functional reporting? What are my customer? What is customer happiness looking like for my top 10 accounts? Right now, we're doing cross-functional reporting. But the key to all of
Yeah,
this is that all of that cross-functional reporting, all of these queries are still respecting all of these specific individual permission and access controls that have been set up by org administrators and IT admins throughout all these tools. So there might be certain questions
yeah,
I don't
gotcha.
get an answer to because I don't have access to that information. But my colleague, my
Yeah,
boss, that she might get that information because she does, right? So
yeah,
it's not simply having the chat. The chat is the thing everyone can do. The question is, how can you
yeah,
access all of the data? And then how can you ensure the right compliance and access controls through that process? So that's one example of what we
right.
can do with Ask Zia at Zoho. A second is that you're using Zoho for a number of different capabilities. Ask Zia is trained on the entire Zoho support knowledge base. So you need a resource for your deployment for your business software. If you're using a bunch of Zoho stuff, well, there's one tool then that can understand broadly what's going on and can
Yeah,
then provide additional help and recommendations. So, for example, hey, we have this new requirement where we want to send mass emails. What's going to be the best way to do that? Ask Zia, right? Or you notice that
Yeah.
there's two features in Zoho that seem similar and you're not sure what the difference is, ask Zia. So you're getting the business data and then you're getting information about the tools themselves. And that's all coming together, which means, in the Zoho context, you
Yeah.
have more than just a chatbot in a corner.
No, absolutely, and that sort of changes a user's day to day, right? Because here you have now Zia that can pull from, not only natively but pull from multiple platforms, right? Whatever they mentioned, CRM, Zoho signed contracts, right? Meeting records. You're pulling from all this stuff automatically. Yeah, that does change how my workflow, sort of is conducted from a day to day basis.
Totally, absolutely. And two additional points to that is we are developing we launched already, but we continue to develop our MCP server. So we are able
Mm-hmm.
to connect with other AI capabilities as well, because, as we said, we want to play
Mm-hmm.
well with others. We want to deliver a
Yeah.
fantastic experience, great integrations, great powerful intelligence. You still have to play well with others. So that's another good thing. Um,
Yeah.
and then second, in addition to being able to just do these different kinds of chats, you mentioned Zia Hubs. Zia Hubs is a place where data is automatically being pulled into different hubs, so you can query on top of it. So like you mentioned, your signed
Mm-hmm.
documents, your HR manuals or policies, customer calls that were recorded from your telephony provider when you were doing customer support through our help desk. There's these different hubs
Mm-hmm.
that are then automatically populated with data that you can then query on top of to get answers to different kinds of questions. So lots of
Yeah.
flexibility to deliver this unified intelligence.
Yeah, and so one thing that's sort of been a Zoho staple. So you've mentioned all this, right? This massive up there, right? You've added, Vani and sort of reimagine, that reimagine word again. Sorry, that's such a Silicon Valley term, right? We reimagine, but you sort of reimagine the entire UX. And sorry, guys, for using it. And you built new integration tools and what have you. AI deeply infused, but and I gotta say, the price remains the same. How does Zoho do this? How?
It's a good question. I often get this question. I think that the key thing is that we move at the right pace to ensure that we have a scalable business that delivers value to customers. Profitability for us
Mm,
has always been important because we are a bootstrapped private company. So we've had to figure
mm,
out how to make money every single day of our existence. And it's forced us to
yeah.
make interesting investments. It's forced us to learn things in house and keep that knowledge in house. And the result of all of
Mm,
it is building a really sophisticated cloud that really is what drives a lot of our efficiencies. At our core,
mm,
we're a technology company, and we have cut out just about every middleman possible, and we've done as much as
yeah.
possible to build everything in house. And over time, the result has been this incredible value. I mean,
Yeah.
um, and a simple example of this too. I mean, along the AI front, for example, right? It's expensive if you make deals with big AI partners to power your AI services. It's expensive if you
Mm,
ask Amazon or Google or Microsoft to run your data centers, and especially at
yeah.
the scale that we're at. So, by not doing any of those things, that's a huge savings right there that we can pass along. And then it's the optimization of that stack that allows us to continue to
Yeah.
um, provide that efficiency and those savings. Another good example is also then just the approach. I'm kind of rambling here, but I'm just kind of letting it go. But the
No, this is good. This is good. Yeah.
the just our approach to LLMs, for example, right? We've heard all
Mm,
about the huge models that something like OpenAI has used and the huge amount of capex that's gone into that. Well, we don't need to try to answer every single question that a customer could have, like ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever. What we can do is
Mm-hmm.
build much smaller models that are way, 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 way cheaper to run and
Mm-hmm.
deploy. And we can use those to solve business problems that organizations actually have. And that comes back to
Yeah.
being able to teach people what's going on with their business data, help people use the products better, right? It's the kinds of AI
Yeah.
capabilities we have in our expense management software that allows us to scan receipts better, right? It's all of these targeted use cases that, once again, keep us from getting kind of over our skis and
Mm-hmm.
being able to deliver value. Long
Yeah,
answer,
it keeps
sorry.
from getting bloated. No, no, but it keeps you from being way too bloated, and the sort of smaller models, I have to say, smaller, more focused models, are way more effective and useful for businesses.
Yeah, totally. You put that much more succinctly than I did. I'll work on that for next time.
So now that Zoho One updates, now that this is all out into the world, the big reveal, right? What are you most excited to see? Is there a specific feature or a group of features that you're like, oh yeah, we did this?
I mean, it's all of it. I'm constantly
Yeah.
impressed with what the team is able to do. It's not easy to think about how to put 50 applications into a single, experiential framework, and how you're going
Mm-hmm.
to then also handle third-party applications and custom applications, all of this that we
Yeah.
support and integrate with and provide a really seamless experience around. It's not easy.
Yeah.
But that is all possible because of the crazy work that we're doing on the directory level. And I see what we're doing there, and that blows my mind, right? I mean, being able to do something that sounds really simple, like being able to very easily delete a user across
Mm-hmm.
all of the different applications, right? Think about what this looks like if you're just using your standard, 12 different applications of the quote best in class providers. You have someone that's assigned to 12 different pieces of
Yeah.
software. How long would it take to deal with turning off all those licenses, moving over all of the data that they had, different like portals that they might be the owner of. I mean, to replace them in a
Mm-hmm.
reporting hierarchy, it would take hours and hours just to do that. We now have
Yes. Yes.
a very simple way of doing this that integrates across all of our tools. That is a simple thing, but it's really, really impressive, because you look at what the alternative is, and it's crazy, right? It's not it's not going to be fun.
But yeah,
Another
absolutely.
small
Yeah.
thing,
And
like relatively what feels like a small thing, but is a huge thing, is the way we're authenticating domains, right? Like you
mm-hmm.
authenticate your domain once in Zoho, and we push it across all the services that need an authenticated domain. So whether that's email or your email marketing tool or your marketing automation tool or the transactional mails and CRM or projects or your event tool, like there's so many places your domain is needed, and it's such a pain
Yeah.
to configure that. So like just do it once and you're good. And then with our integration with GoDaddy, it's one click to do the authentication. That's crazy
Mm-hmm.
to me, right? But how do you take that over a unified experience? But I mean, ultimately, it's this is why I think it's such great work that our product team is doing. It's the way that all these
Yeah.
three things are interacting together, and that's why I feel like you can't really pick one. It's the experience, it's
Yeah.
the integrations, and the intelligence.
Yeah, and thanks for bringing up the domain pieces because yeah, you're right. There's what I gather about this update and release. It's more so about impacting company culture, right? And I think it's so we can do the feature thing, but you're right. It's the entirety of it is about impacting the culture, and also I love what you said about directory because in the past, directory we things like Active Directory and so forth. What we've been missing from directory services is how does it deal with relationships, right? And I think that's one of the biggest things that you guys are addressing as well too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the director, I mean, the thing is our releases like these are so big, so monumentally big. And it's, I know I work for the company, but it's wild with the stuff that we push out in a release like this.
Yeah,
To the point that directory, I mean, we could spend an hour just on what we're doing with directory, right? But ultimately,
yeah.
those are going to be more IT and admin and a little less interesting to people generally. But
I
yeah,
love
it's
it though. You know what I
you
mean?
but you need all these pieces to make this work, and that's what we've been saying for
Absolutely.
years. You have to be willing to take up the entire use case if you want to provide a great experience, and that's what we're trying to do.
Exactly. It's impacting company culture. It's not just for platform's sake, AI for AI's sake, feature for feature's sake. It's how do you impact company culture and how users work on a day to day basis. Absolutely. Taylor, thank you so much. So a truly, I won't say historical, but it's a holistic update, right?
Yeah,
And which speaks to what we've been talking about. It's geared towards how to help people get their jobs done better, right, and more efficiently, and impact people's workflow.
absolutely, absolutely. um
Awesome.
I mean, I think, yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, I think we're breaking up a little bit, I think, the
Yeah.
but yeah, absolutely, the idea of just being holistic and realizing that the value of software is not having to think about it. And so the goal is to make it as simple and as unified as possible so it can be
Yeah.
smart and it can stay out of the way so we can do the things that we want to do.
That's a novel concept, right? Get out of people's way. I mean, imagine that, right?
Yeah. I
Oh
mean, you think
man,
of,
Taylor.
what's you think of like I don't, sorry, but some of the best technology
Okay.
we have is the stuff you don't think about. How often do you think
No,
about the
exactly,
electricity, right? I mean, it runs, it's
exactly.
amazing. It's a miracle, you know?
You flip on the switch
So,
and there it goes. Now, absolutely,
yeah,
yeah. And I think
yeah.
our world of work should be somewhat similar. The more I have to think, right, and get out of flow is not good. And so
Yeah.
that's a good
Yeah.
point. Taylor, thank you for giving us the inside scoop and the inside story on the update to Zoho One. Exciting times. Congratulations. I'm looking forward to see how you guys execute on this in the upcoming months. Any final words for the viewers?
No, I think we're good. Check out the release. Like I said, we're really
Yeah.
excited about it. And thanks so much, Dave, for your time, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Taylor. And thanks everyone for joining. You heard it here, folks. Zoho One updates. Let's see what we got. Thanks, Taylor. Have a good one.